Have you ever felt like your mind is being manipulated without you even realizing it? It's not just you. Our brains are constantly being reprogrammed by the world around us. The science of mental hacking reveals that our minds are not as independent as we think. In fact, external forces, whether it's marketing, social media, or the people around us, are subtly rewiring how we think, feel, and act on a daily basis. And the craziest part? We don't even notice it happening. Let's start with one of the most powerful ways our brains are hacked: the confirmation bias. This is when we only look for information that supports what we already believe, while ignoring anything that contradicts us. For example, if you believe that a particular type of diet works, you'll start noticing articles, blogs, and videos that support your belief. On the other hand, anything that challenges your viewpoint gets pushed to the side. It's like your brain has a filter that allows only the information it likes to come through. The problem with confirmation bias is that it limits our ability to grow and see the world more clearly. We get stuck in our own bubbles, reinforcing the same beliefs and ideas over and over. And marketers know this all too well. They tailor ads to match your preferences, making you feel like you're always right, which keeps you buying their products or services. The next time you find yourself drawn to a familiar idea, ask yourself, am I seeking out new perspectives, or am I just looking for things that confirm what I already think? Now let's talk about the power of social proof. Ever notice how you're more likely to trust something if you see others doing it first? Whether it's a product with 5-star reviews or a crowded restaurant, our brains are wired to follow the crowd. It's as if we think, if everyone else is doing it, it must be good, right? This is the essence of social proof. Advertisers and social media influencers love using social proof to their advantage. They'll show testimonials, reviews, or even share the number of people who've purchased a product to make you feel like it's the right choice. The thing is, social proof doesn't always guarantee quality. It just shows you that a lot of people have already made a decision. Sometimes what's popular isn't the best, but our brains still fall for it because we're wired to follow the herd. When you're making decisions, especially when it comes to things like purchases or even beliefs, try stepping back and asking yourself, am I making this decision because it's the best option, or because everyone else seems to think it's the best? Another big way your brain is reprogrammed every day is through the mere exposure effect. This is the phenomenon where the more you're exposed to something, the more likely you are to develop a preference for it. Think about the first time you heard a song. Maybe you didn't like it at first, but after hearing it a few times on the radio, you found yourself humming along, right? That's the mere exposure effect in action. This can happen with anything, from products to people to ideas. The more often you're exposed to a certain brand, person, or concept, the more familiar and comfortable it becomes, even if you didn't initially have any strong feelings about it. In marketing, companies use this trick all the time by getting their ads in front of you over and over again. Your brain starts to recognize the brand, and the next time you're making a decision, you're more likely to choose it because it feels familiar. The mere exposure effect can also affect relationships. The more time you spend with someone, the more likely you are to form positive feelings toward them. But this can also be a double-edged sword, especially when we're not careful about who we let into our lives. People can use this effect to slowly gain your trust and influence you without you even realizing it. Another technique that plays a huge role in how your brain is reprogrammed daily is cognitive dissonance. This happens when you hold two conflicting beliefs or attitudes at the same time, and it creates mental discomfort. To ease that discomfort, your brain will push you to justify or change one of those beliefs. For example, if you're someone who prides themselves on being healthy but you find yourself eating fast food regularly, you might tell yourself, "It's not that bad. I'm still eating healthier than most people." This mental trick helps you avoid the discomfort of being in a conflicting state, but it can also keep you stuck in unhealthy habits. People are naturally motivated to reduce dissonance in their minds, so you might justify actions that you know aren't good for you, Whether it's skipping workouts, staying in a toxic relationship, or even continuing to believe in something that no longer serves you. Advertisers are aware of this, and they often use cognitive dissonance to make their products feel like a solution to your internal conflict. If you catch yourself justifying a bad decision, take a moment to ask yourself, am I trying to reduce discomfort by making excuses? Or am I being honest with myself about what I truly want or need? Then there's the anchoring effect, another sneaky trick that influences how we make decisions. It happens when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we're given, even if it's irrelevant to the decision at hand. For instance, imagine you're shopping for a new phone. You see one priced at $1,000 and then you find a similar phone for $600. Even though the $600 phone might still be more expensive than you initially planned to spend, it seems like a bargain because it's compared to the $1,000 price tag. This is the anchoring effect at work. The first number you see, whether it's a price, a statistic, or a comparison, serves as an anchor in your mind. It makes you more likely to base your decision on that number, even if it's not truly relevant. Retailers and marketers are brilliant at using anchors to make their products seem more appealing. Whether it's showing the original price next to a discount or using inflated statistics to persuade you, this effect keeps you locked into certain thought patterns. To avoid falling victim to the anchoring effect, try to take a step back and ask yourself, what would I have paid for this without knowing the first price? What do I truly value regardless of the anchor? Now here's a fascinating one, the availability heuristic. This is when we base our judgment on the most easily available information in our memory, rather than seeking out all the facts. If you've ever been scared to fly after hearing about a plane crash in the news, that's the availability heuristic at play. The information you've heard recently, or that's most vivid in your mind, can disproportionately influence your decisions. Our brains are wired to make quick judgments, and the availability heuristic helps us do this by focusing on the most memorable or recent experiences. This is why negative news stories often stick with us more than positive ones. It can lead to irrational fears, like being terrified of sharks because of a movie, even though shark attacks are incredibly rare. If you find yourself making a decision based on something you've recently heard or seen, ask yourself, am I reacting to the most recent information, or have I really considered the full picture? The more mindful you are of this, the better equipped you'll be to make more balanced decisions. Another daily mental hack is the framing effect. This occurs when the way information is presented influences how we interpret it. For example, if you're offered a product that's 90% fat-free, it sounds much better than if you're told it's 10% fat. But in reality, they're the same thing. The way information is framed affects how we perceive it, and marketers use this to make their products seem more appealing. This same principle can apply to everything from job offers to relationships. If someone tells you that a job pays up to $50,000, you're going to focus on that high-end potential, even though the actual salary might be much lower. Or, in a relationship, someone might downplay red flags by saying things like, "I'm not as bad as other people." The framing effect helps people create narratives that play on your emotions and skew your judgment. Let's now talk about social proof, one of the most powerful mental hacks your brain encounters daily. Social proof is the tendency to look to others for guidance on how to behave or what to believe. It's why we often find ourselves buying things because everyone else is doing it, or why we follow trends even if we're not sure why. If you see a long line outside a restaurant, you're more likely to think it's a good place to eat, even though you might not have any personal experience with it. The line itself becomes proof that it's worth trying. Social proof can work in both positive and negative ways. It can push you to adopt healthy habits or make great decisions if you're around the right influences. However, it can also lead you to follow the crowd even when that crowd is making poor choices. It's one of the reasons peer pressure is so effective, and it's why you might find yourself choosing a product simply because it has a lot of reviews or high ratings, even if those reviews are manipulated. To protect yourself from the dangers of social proof, ask yourself, am I choosing this because it's genuinely what I want, or because I'm simply following the crowd? Take a moment to think critically about whether you're letting others shape your decisions in ways that may not align with your true values. Now, let's talk about reciprocity, a concept that influences everything from social interactions to business transactions. This is the idea that if someone does something for you, you feel an urge to return the favor. It's why when someone gives you a small gift, you might feel the need to give something back even if you didn't ask for it. This principle is often used in marketing. Many companies send you free samples or discounts to create a sense of obligation. They know that you're more likely to buy something after receiving something from them. Reciprocity plays out in relationships as well. A person might do something nice for you with the unspoken expectation that you'll do something in return later. While this can sometimes be a healthy form of mutual respect, it can also be manipulated to get you to do things you wouldn't otherwise do. It's important to recognize when reciprocity is being used to push you into a corner. Next time someone offers you something, ask yourself, is this genuine kindness, or are they expecting something from me in return? We've covered a lot of mental hacks so far, and it's clear how easily our thoughts and actions can be influenced. But one last trick I want to highlight is the contrast effect, which is a way your brain gets tricked into thinking something is better or worse than it really is, based on what it's compared to. Let's say you walk into a store and see a $500 watch right next to a $50 watch. Suddenly, that $50 watch seems like a great deal, even though you might have thought it was too expensive before you saw the $500 one. This happens because your brain compares things relative to each other, not just on their own merit. The contrast effect doesn't just apply to shopping. It's at play in your relationships, job offers, and even how you view yourself. If you're constantly comparing yourself to people who seem more successful, you might feel like you're falling short even though you're doing just fine. On the other hand, comparing yourself to someone who's struggling might make you feel like you're doing better than you really are. To counteract the contrast effect, try to evaluate things on their own terms. Don't just compare, but assess the true value based on your own needs and values. This will help you make decisions that are truly in your best interest. Now that you know about these 13 ways your brain is being reprogrammed daily, it's important to take a step back and evaluate how these mental hacks are shaping your decisions. They're powerful and persuasive, but they don't have to control you. By recognizing them, you can start taking charge of your thoughts and actions. The next time you're faced with a decision, whether it's what to buy, what to believe, or how to act, ask yourself, is this decision being influenced by one of these mental hacks? Or am I making it because it's truly what I want? Remember, the key to mental freedom isn't about avoiding these influences entirely. It's about being aware of them so you can make decisions that align with your true self. Your mind is powerful, and by understanding how it's being reprogrammed, you can take control and use that power to your advantage.